Welcome to Box Office Buddies, a podcast where we come on week after week with a new friend after new friend, and we talk about their all-time favorite movie or one of their all-time favorite movies, where we will unpack it, where we'll laugh about it, where we'll talk about it, where we'll review it, do all these things. And today we are joined by my friend, Krystal Harlow. Krystal, will you tell the podcast community out there, all the Box Office buds out there, they're out there, I promise, who you are, who is Krystal, what makes Krystal Krystal, what do you think they should know about you before they hear about your favorite movie?
I don't know. I'm married. I have one child. She's about to graduate high school. I work with Branden. Yeah. We've been buddies for, I don't know how long, couple years?
Couple years, yeah.
I love movies, love them, and I think we bond over that. We like to talk.
Disagree sometimes?
We disagree often.
Yes. Yeah, I was hoping you'd pick a Nolan movie.
Nope, that's not going to happen.
A good movie, but we'll settle for this. You love movies, so what, besides this movie, what's the most recent movie you've watched, and what movie are you looking forward to coming out soon?
Oh, man. I don't remember the last movie I was at. It was like last week, though.
Yeah.
What's out right now?
Did you see that vampire movie?
What? No.
Did you see?
I don't know. Come back to
Did you see that boxing movie?
Yeah. I saw that. I saw that. Yeah, that actually is the last one I saw.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. The next Rocky.
The fire inside.
Yeah.
It's not the next Rocky.
That's what they're telling me.
It's a true story, though.
Yeah.
It was great. I've never heard that story before.
Yeah. And what are you looking forward to coming out soon?
Okay, so it's about award season, right? Okay. And so I always watch every movie that's up for awards. Yeah. But now I'm being a little more critical, and I'm reading the parent guide first, and I'm like, whoa, that one looks a little much. Maybe not. I'm trying to be a little more discerning. So I watch the ones that I think are probably going to win. Yeah. And best actor, best actress, all of them. Yeah. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Any opening, I guess, any predictions you think you can tell us? Any insights? Who do you think's going to win what?
I think best actress will be Emilia Perez. I watched the whole movie's in subtitles. It's all in Spanish. Okay. Never watched one like that before. Yeah. I think she'll win best actress.
Cool. Well, today we are talking about a movie that received some awards, best actor and best actress, right? Mm-hmm. With an actor who's now retired, which I saw last night. He is 87 years old.
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, he's old. And this is not the Shining. This is as good as it gets. And for those who haven't seen it, here is what it looks like. Mm-hmm. A very cute picture of him and Verdell, right?
Yeah, the dog.
Yeah, him and Verdell. And so here is a quick overview, quick premise of our movie. Melvin Udall, who is played by Jack Nicholson, is an obsessive, compulsive writer of romantic fiction who's rude to everyone he meets, including his neighbor Simon. But when he has to look after Simon's dog, he begins to soften. And, if still not completely over his problems, finds he can conduct a relationship with only the waitress, who's played by Helen Hunt, at the local diner who'll serve him. Just initially, what do you think about that premise? I pulled it off Google. Do you think that portrays it well? Do you think it's missing anything? Or
it's just more human than that. I think that's what this movie's about. Is one of the very first quotes of the movie is, if you look at someone long enough, you discover their humanity. And I think that's the whole point of the movie is you judge people, you think you know people, or you disregard people and you ignore them. But if you got to know them, if you looked at them long enough, you would discover the humanity, and it would change you, it would change them. Yeah.
Was that your favorite line?
No.
Okay, good. I was going to say, don't give it to me that, because that was not what I had down.
No, that's at the very beginning.
Yeah. No, that's real. So my first question to you, and we're going to come back to that quote, but how did you first discover this movie?
Okay, so when I was growing up, we grew up middle class, like lower middle class. We didn't have money, and my mom would never let us go to the movie theater. So when I got my own car and my own job, my own money, this came out my high school senior year. Yeah. Okay. So it was formative. I used to go to the movies all the time then because I could. And if you look back, they won these awards in 1998, right? Mm-hmm. Did you see who else was up? What other movies were up?
No, I was gonna ask who were they competing against at that time?
Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting, really?
And Titanic.
I thought Titanic won that.
It won Best Picture.
Okay.
But it didn't win Best Actor, Best Actress. And these two actor and actresses swept the Globes, the SAG Awards, everything. Yeah. And it won Best Picture at the Globes.
Okay.
As good as it gets.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I thought that was funny that it was up against one of your favorite movies. I don't know if you shared that yet or not, but
I think I have. We were just talking about Rounders before, and I was sharing how Matt Damon's my guy, and
they won Best Screenplay.
Yeah.
And they won Best Supporting Actor, Robin Williams, of course.
Yeah.
No one can beat that performance.
Yeah. No, not at all. Okay, so this was senior year of high school for you. So my next question is, how many times have you seen it? If you could guesstimate. Yeah. And then also, what kind of feelings, emotions, memories does this movie bring up for you?
Well, I've probably seen it, I don't know, maybe close to 25 times at least.
Yeah.
I saw it several times in college, and I hadn't watched it like in a decade. So, and when I sat down...
since a decade?
This movie, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know. I just watched it, and I was trying to understand why I liked it so much. Yeah. I don't know if you want to go that deep.
We'll get into that. Okay. Trust me, that's coming.
Okay.
That's coming. Yeah. So what emotions, memories did it bring back a decade later?
Oh, well, I still cried 3 times.
Yeah.
I guess coming face to face with people's humanity and them doing these extraordinary kindnesses. When the doctor handed her his personal card, changed her life. You know, I just cried because it's something so simple. It's something so easy for someone, but it could completely transform someone else's life. Yeah,
that's good. So instant reaction. Some I had early on in the movie, which we can talk about. The first one is, there is no way he did that to his neighbor's dog. Like from the very beginning, I was like, what is he doing? And then when he puts the dog in the garbage chute, I was like, this isn't real. Like there is no way. At first I was like, is that his own dog?
No.
But then I was like, that's his neighbor's dog.
Yeah, it is.
This guy is a terrible
He threw it down the trash chute for y'all who haven't seen it.
Yeah.
He hated this dog. He hated everybody.
Yeah.
What's funny is he writes books about love. Like he's really well written. He's written 62 books. Yeah. Well, published.
Yeah, which I remember the scene of him, like before his neighbors were knocking on his door, he was trying to figure out what love was.
Yes.
And I thought that was really cool.
Yep.
And did he ever answer the question? Like, did he ever finish it, the thought? Because I know his neighbors kept knocking.
I think he did, but I don't remember what he said.
Yeah. But I was like, that's going to come back later. I have a feeling. Another instant reaction, Hans Zimmer. My favorite composer.
Score?
He does the score. I saw his name, and so I was like, oh, this is going to be...
He was up, but I don't think he won.
Yeah, it wasn't his best work.
Oh.
But I mean, it's still his work, so it's still good work. And then another reaction, and we'll get to the rest later. My twin is in the movie.
I know. Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah.
He's such a good actor.
Yeah, at first I was like... Because it doesn't look like him. I was like, that's not the Cuba I know.
Dude, that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
We time traveling.
And then I was looking up stuff as I was watching it. And then I saw the cast. And I was like, that's who it is. I was like, he looks so familiar. And I think he was a really good addition to this movie.
He's great.
But let's this is a rom-com, you would say.
Yeah.
Why isn't this a more popular rom-com? What do you think?
I have no idea, other than the stigma of mental health.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are uncomfortable. It makes them uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Also, there's a lot of like racism, misogyny, homophobia that did not age well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, like you said, you were like, was that a thing back then? Because I mean, this is older than you.
Yeah.
We've come a long way as a society. Yeah. I would say we have a long way to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think those are probably the 2 reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's jump ahead a little bit. First, actually, let me answer that. It's not a typical rom-com.
No.
And it's not your like Adam Sandler,
No.
like slapstick humor.
It's not dumb humor.
No.
And you're not going to just belly laugh.
Yeah.
You're not. But it's just so good. It'll stick with you.
Yeah. And it's not love at first sight. You know, it's not a meet cute, but it's a really like just pure character growth.
Yeah.
And my favorite line, which we'll get to your line later, but I think my favorite line is when he says, "You make me want to be a better man."
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh man, like when he was like, I started taking my pills like the day after, and it was just like, he's trying his hardest. He knows he's a terrible person. He knows that he's messed up in the head, and he's trying his hardest to fight against that to have meaningful relationships. It's kind of what I saw, but we'll get into it. Yeah, what is your favorite scene of the movie and why?
I do think that's my favorite scene.
The better man part?
Yeah. Yeah, that restaurant part. It really was the climax of the movie. And then she goes back and spends the evening with Simon.
Yeah.
It changes his life. And then the very ending too. The ending was great.
Yeah. Yeah, when they're walking.
Makes me cry.
Yeah. I think my favorite scene.
You never said, do you like this movie?
Oh, I did like this movie.
I was worried you wouldn't.
No. Why do you say that?
Because we usually don't agree on movies.
Yeah.
I was like, if he don't like my movie,
no,
that's fine. But
no, I think it's. Let's come back to that.
You weren't ready for that.
No, well, I want to talk about. I asked this question on the last episode. There's movies that are character centric.
Yeah.
There's movies that are plot centric.
Sure.
And then sometimes you get both. But so my question to you is this a character centric movie or a plot centric movie?
You know, it's character.
It's character. Yes. Which is harder to make, in your opinion?
Oh, well, I don't know. I've never made a movie before.
Yeah.
I just know that I enjoy the character centric more.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah. And the reason I asked that now is because I'm trying to wrestle with, am I more of a character centric movie person or plot centric? And I would say I'm probably more character centric, but I think the problem you run with character centric movies is if you can't relate or you have trouble identifying with some characters,
sure,
it may feel disconnected.
But it helps me understand others who are very different from me. I don't have to relate necessarily. It's more of a, wow, I think I understand that better.
Yeah. So let's talk about the characters. Let's go from kind of top to bottom. Let's unpack Melvin and who he is. He has
main character.
Yes.
He's got the OCD.
Severe OCD.
Yeah.
What do you feel like what do you think the director was trying to communicate through the life of Melvin?
I don't think anyone took the time to understand him he's isolated and,
but intentionally.
Sure.
Yeah.
His words and actions would do that anyway, but, I don't know. There's difficult people in the world all around us, and we don't take the time to understand them. We're just like, oh, that guy's mean, or, oh, I don't like him, or, oh, and I think the waitress, she had to deal with him every single day. Yeah. She still showed him respect. She still showed him kindness. Mm-hmm. She also had boundaries. Yeah. You don't talk to me like that. You don't talk about my son. Yeah. And she always held boundaries for him. And I think other people just write him off. When they kicked him out of the restaurant and everyone was applauding.
That was crazy.
That was, they don't know him. And that was so hurtful to him probably. But they just judged him based on outward. Yeah. Which we all do. Yeah. We all do.
So let's get deep here. Is your experience more like Melvin's of like kind of being judged without being being known, or on the flip side of judging people without getting to know them and seeing someone and just kind of writing them off? Or neither?
I don't know. I figured out why this movie resonates with me is because my family has a lot of mental illness struggles in it. Yeah. And it felt familiar to me. And so, not that anyway, I don't know if you want to get into that, but that's why. Yeah. Okay, I realized this character, this difficult person, was my mother in my life. And they were capable of these incredible, extraordinary kindnesses, this generosity that you didn't know they were capable of. She was capable of that, but also that people around that person are so afraid of what they're going to say next because it's going to hurt. They're so afraid of, they're going to say something that's going to cut me to the core. Yeah. And that was my whole life growing up. This tug and this pull back and forth of, they can be so kind, but on the other hand, they can be so cruel. And dealing with that, and that line, "You make me want to be a better man." Yeah. That is my favorite line. It's funny that you called it. Yeah. Yeah. But yesterday when I watched this movie and realized, oh, I know why. It's because I always wanted my mom to want to be a better mom, want to be a better person for me, because she saw me, because she loved me. She never did. But I think that was the cry of my heart subconsciously and this person showed change. Like they had a pill they could take. Mine doesn't, but they had a pill they could take and they were actually working and they could change. And I think it gave me hope, especially at the end of the movie. Yeah.
Did it make you want to reach out to your mom?
No. Dude, I'm old now. Okay. It's been a minute. Sorry. You can cut that later.
I hope she doesn't watch this.
No.
Oh man. That's good. No, thanks for sharing. I think, like, to also just open up, I think, like, as I was even just here right now thinking of Melvin, and I think for me personally, that there is like an internal struggle of like knowing that I can be better and like hating. Like I think of the scene of him giving the dog back and him at his piano, like crying. He's like over a dog. And it's just like Melvin knows that what he's doing isn't right. But as much as he wants to, I don't think he can stop unless he like takes those pills, you know? And it's like he wants to grow, but he's also like, I don't know if I can. And so I think that's kind of something that kind of resonated with me a little bit as I looked at Melvin's character.
I think the dog was the first thing that he had loved, the first thing that he loved more than himself, maybe. Yeah. And it shook him. He let something in, someone in, and it hurt him because, you know, he'd never done that before. Yeah. But dogs love unconditionally, if you think about it. Yeah. And that's the thing. That was the very first thing that changed his routine. The very first time he changed his routine was at the restaurant. He had the dog outside, and he had to watch the dog. Yeah. He sat at a different table. Yeah. That is huge for an OCD person. Yeah. So anyway, I think the dog had a lot to do with opening him up to loving something other than himself. Yeah. Let's talk about the original dog owner, which I'm going to be honest, I think I struggled with Simon because at one point I was like, what's the point of this character? Oh, because I felt like there could have been a world where Simon stayed in the hospital for like the duration of the movie. Oh, and Melvin just watched the dog just kind of continually. But I don't know. I just feel like there was quite a bit of screen time given to Simon. Yeah. And his story. And it was great. Like we kind of saw the end. But let's talk about Simon. Help me understand kind of the role he served in this movie. Okay. Well, I'd say in 1998, we didn't have a whole lot of gay characters in movies. Yeah. Far less than we do now. Yeah. And I think exploring that and showing the humanity of this person, he even shared his childhood. Yeah. Like, and how his dad reacted. Yeah. And I think that was new in 98. Okay. Now everyone's got their story. We all know their story. Yeah. I did think he was pivotal in the movie. It showed breaking down even more barriers. It wasn't just for a girl or the love of a girl. He was changing across the board. He was changing in regards to Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character. Mm-hmm. He was changing in regards to, this gay neighbor that he judged him harshly. He was unkind. He was cruel. Yeah. And then let him stay in his house. Mm-hmm. No matter, even though he had some preconceived notions of what that would mean. Yeah. But it showed more growth for the character. If it was just him and the girl, anybody can change for a girl. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. No, this was further than that.
Yeah. No, that's good. So let's talk about the girl.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Miss Helen Hunt, Carol. What is the importance? What is the significance? What do we see from Carol's character and her son, her mom, her growth, and then in relation to Melvin?
I think her son's sickness had become a all-consuming thing. It's her whole life. And then when he wasn't sick anymore, she just didn't even know how to be.
Yeah.
She's a caregiver. Mm-hmm. And so I think as a mom now, I can really identify with her. She only had one child. I can see she's fierce. She's fierce, protecting and advocating for her child. I think that's huge. I thought she was a real character. And when she was trying to date, that guy was like, this is too much reality for Friday night. Yeah. I'm like, this dude, he's not mature enough. He doesn't get,
I mean, there was throw up on her.
I mean, but come on.
Come on, that's disgusting.
That guy was disgusting.
He kind of looked like Cillian
I needed
Murphy.
him to be gone.
Yeah. I was like, is that Cillian? I was like, nah.
Come on.
The movie was made too long ago. Who else? Any other character? I mean, those are the big three.
It is.
Yeah, everyone else was just kind of there. Who was your favorite kind of just not throwaway, but like side character, whether that's Carol's mom, Carol's son, Verdell, Cuba, the doctor.
I think they were all necessary. I think they all added to the movie.
Yeah.
Did you notice the point where he said the title of the movie? Did you pick up on that?
See, okay, so let's pause there. Because as I was thinking, okay, what's Krystal's favorite line? I wrote down a couple options as they're coming up. And some of them were a joke. Some of them were serious.
Yeah.
My first one, it was early on.
Yeah.
I knew this wasn't it, but it was Cuba and Jack Nicholson.
Yep.
And when he's approaching him, and he was like, assault, battery, and you're black. I was like, is that her favorite line?
No,
because I thought it was hilarious. So that one was a joke.
Okay.
The second one was also a joke. It was when I guess Simon's guy was driving around town and he sees those three guys and he's like, I found your models. And the dude's like walking up and he's like, Brad Pitt or something like that, and just a throwaway.
You thought that was my favorite line?
It was a joke. It was a joke. So the first one was a joke, second one was a joke, and then the third one was serious. It was as he was walking out, he was like, what if this is as good as it gets?
Yeah.
I thought that could have been your favorite line. I thought that was really cool.
But how pessimistic it is.
Yeah.
They're all just sitting there in their doctor's office going, I didn't even know what to do with that moment.
Yeah.
You just sit there.
How do you answer that question? Is this as good as it gets? Or
But he answered it later, right? It's not.
Yeah.
It's as good as you make it, I guess, by taking steps.
Yeah. And then I think the last line, I think I may have one more.
You forgot one.
I forgot a line?
Well, a good one.
So, this is another line because I put question marks. It was when Simon had to let go of his cleaning lady, and she came to Melvin's door.
Yeah,
and she was just talking about faith and things like that. And then he was so crazy, someplace else. That was.
We're all stuck up here.
Yeah,
it's like, oh my gosh,
yeah,
that is it. Yeah,
that's the line. Yeah,
that's the line.
That's crazy. And then the last line where I was like, okay, it's either between this and what if this is as good as it gets. I was like, you make me want to be a better man. And so, how did we get there? We were talking about. You said that I catched a line or something. I don't know. How do we get there?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Sorry, buddy.
No, it's good. Yeah, let's talk about this. Is there, you kind of already alluded to this, but being a mom, is there a character that you've come to appreciate more as you've watched the movie as time has moved on?
No, not really, but I did notice how much growth I've had as a person. I'm not that hurt 18-year-old anymore, you know? I've had a long time to process and do counseling and all that and understand mental illness for what it is.
Yeah.
And I've learned it's not personal, it's just painful.
Yeah.
And that's huge. So I don't think there's a character that I identify with.
Yeah.
I don't. But I love them all individually for different reasons.
Yeah. So what is a word that you would say to people out there who are struggling with people who have mental illness? Like, what's your word of encouragement? How have you seen growth come for yourself?
Oh, man, I don't know. Not everything has a pill for it. And even if it did, they don't always take them. Yeah. But just you have to make sure that you're getting the help you need to process things correctly. Yeah. And having boundaries. Boundaries are key. Yeah.
Control what you can control and
pray for the rest.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is what's your overall favorite thing about this movie? What do you think what's the biggest strength you would say?
I think the strongest, understanding people who are different than us, I think it's huge. The whole premise of discovering people's humanity. He was also a narcissist. He had no clue about other people's thoughts, feelings, needs, and he didn't care either. Yeah. If you noticed, all these times he cut people off or he stopped talking. He didn't want to hear their stories. He didn't want to hear, and he didn't want to understand either. It only mattered about him. That's the problem. At the end, whenever he says, that's one of the quotes. At the very end, he goes, I think most people miss that about you. This is a compliment for her. Yeah. I watch them wondering how they can watch you bring you their food and never get that they just met the greatest woman alive. And that fact that I get it makes me feel good about me. He was telling her a compliment, but it was, again, about him. Yeah. That is a narcissistic personality. It's really hard to deal with people like that. And I've already forgotten your question.
Biggest strength or
the biggest strength
of the movie
is at the end when he says all that. They hold hands, they walk, and he can't step on cracks. He can't step on anything. But at the last scene, he takes a step and he's on a crack and he's okay. Yeah. And it just shows there's hope. There's hope. And I'm not always been a very optimistic person, but that's a great way to end the movie. Yeah.
I didn't know how it was going to end because you're in the last 5 minutes and she's like, this isn't going to work. Right. I'm done. Like, this is just, and I was like, whoa, what's going to happen here? And so I didn't expect to kind of see I didn't expect to see that kind of grand gesture at the end because I thought when he went over there first, that was the grand gesture of like.
Right. And she still shut him down. Yeah. I think she went in with eyes wide open though. I think that was good. She saw all the crazy, him not even be able to walk on a sidewalk is a problem. Yeah. And I love that she said that out loud. Yeah. Because I think that's where it's going to work. Yeah. She's going to be very clear about what's not going to work.
Yeah. So obviously I know you're not a fan of sequels and I don't think this movie should have a sequel, but hypothetically, I know, but where do you see their story going next? Melvin and Carol, what's next for them?
The problem is she's a caregiver by nature and her son's no longer sick. You know, she's fierce and she takes a lot of crap. So it might not be a good, healthy relationship. Let's just say that. Yeah. May not last. I mean, I think they'd be better as friends. Yeah. Truly. Yeah. I know that he adores her, but it's really hard to be with somebody like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think either way, there's still a ton of growth.
Yeah, sure.
For Melvin.
Anything's possible, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't make it easy.
Yeah. Okay. This is kind of not a throwaway, but who gave, in your opinion, the best acting performance in this movie? Would you give it to Helen Hunt or would you give it to Jack Nicholson?
I mean, that's a battle.
Yeah.
I watched it with my kid, and she was just floored by Jack Nicholson. She doesn't like him as an actor.
Really?
And she just goes, whoa, he is good.
Yeah.
But every time I cried, it was because Helen Hunt. And so, I don't know. I think they're both equally powerhouses. They both deserved it.
Yeah. And where do you think, and I haven't seen a ton of his movies, but I know this is your favorite, but like, where do you think this ranks among his kind of movies?
Oh. I don't know. I prefer it. I can't think of another one that I like him better in. Mm-hmm. I'd have to sit down and look at the list. Yeah. He usually does more serious roles. Yeah. So I don't know.
Batman. Joker.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Forgot about that.
Yeah. So let's talk about what would this movie look like if it was made today? Things would look different.
You think so? Like how?
Probably wouldn't be able to make the same kind of jokes.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But yeah, let's fast forward to 2025. Yeah. Would it look different? What do you think?
They'd probably cast it different.
Well, yeah.
I mean, like their age gap was huge, even in real life.
Yeah.
When they shot it, he was, 60, and she was 34?
Wow.
Something like that. I don't know. If you recast it. Yeah. Have you thought about that? Like who you'd pick? I have no idea.
Thought, I mean, considering I finished it
at 3 a.m.
Less than 12 hours ago.
Man.
Well, how do you feel about movies using humor to explore mental illness?
I prefer it.
Yeah.
I think it's the way to go. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, people can't deal. Mm-hmm. Like August Osage County is all mental illness, and I get it. Yeah. And I love it, but it is so hard no one can watch it. Yeah. It's like, why would you watch that? It's so hard. Yeah. Well, because that was my life, and yeah, it's a look at it. But I think you need humor. You need it to balance it, to make it palatable to general audiences. Yeah. That's the only way it's going to work.
Yeah, So I went into this movie not knowing really anything besides the fact of what you told me of like, he's terrible. Only one person will wait on him. And I had no idea that there was a mental illness happening until about, I think when he locked his door 5 times. Yeah. And I was like, oh, he's a little odd. He's a little off. And then I saw.
Then he washed his hands.
He washed his hand. Yeah, I didn't. I was like,
with super hot water and then threw the soap away.
And they did it again. Yeah. And then I saw his M&Ms or Skittles or like all his candies were in, like the colors were
arranged. I didn't notice that. Okay.
And the books and his books were color coded. And then when he was walking the way he was, and he didn't want to be touched.
Yeah, I can't be touched.
But she touched him. Yeah.
And the dog.
And then when he pulled out his plasticware. Yeah. I was like, okay.
Germaphobe.
Yeah, I was like, the gloves. They're and I liked it. I liked that I had to work in a way to kind of
get there.
Yeah, but if I would have read the premise, it kind of tells you he has OCD.
But most people, when you go to a movie, you don't read the premise. No. I don't know.
Yeah. You just but I would assume in the 90s there would have been like a trailer that would have said.
I don't know. I never saw a trailer.
I don't know how we got there.
You said how it would be different today. I don't really know. You said you can't make the same jokes.
To explore movies using humor.
You can get canceled now. Yeah. You got to be all politically correct and all the things.
Yeah, actually, I think this movie would do really well today. Solely because I think a lot of society is pushing just for general acceptance and like understanding one another and coexisting with one another.
But only in certain ways.
Yeah. And so I think a movie that explored like, hey, there's more than meets the eye, and like there's a lot going on behind the scenes that we should take the effort to get to know But also, I could see people like watching the first 30 minutes and being like, I hate Melvin. I'm like walking out of here. This guy is awful.
Because we are quick to judge. We are quick to react.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the nature we are now.
Yeah.
And we're quick to post.
Yeah.
Quick to comment.
Yeah.
Quick to share everything we think and feel immediately.
Yeah.
Instead of sitting and we're supposed to look at someone long enough to discover and to understand. And we don't do that.
Yeah. Because, I mean, in the first 30 minutes, he made homophobic jokes. Yeah. He made racist jokes.
I know. And my kid was like, you made Branden watch this? And I was like, it gets better.
Yeah.
There was a point to it all.
Yeah.
You got to understand this guy.
Yeah.
And did you watch Simon in the end say, Melvin, I love you?
I did.
And I just was like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, he never would have thought he would have said that, ever.
No. Also, Simon, that was a really sad scene of him getting like beat.
Oh man,
to a pulp. Oh my goodness,
brutal.
Yeah, that was hard to watch. But yeah, eventually, yeah, you're right. It does get better. Melvin shares a meal with Cuba.
I know, which is progress.
Which is actually a plot hole.
Why?
Because they said he was banned from the restaurant.
Already?
Yeah. And then they have that scene in the restaurant where he asked her, hey, would you want to go to Baltimore with me?
That was after he got banned?
Yeah. Because she wasn't there. She was at home. And he was being mean to Cheryl, I think was her name. And the owner was like, that's it. You're out. Get out of here. And
I have to watch it again.
There's the police.
That could have been just you at 3 a.m. trying to say,
No. That was a plot hole. Okay. I mean, it's easy. I mean, they could have been like, oh, well.
Shot in a different order and then edited in a different order?
Well, I think they could have. Because the reason he got banned was because she wasn't there. And then from there, he went to go find her at her home.
And then he got her back to work.
Maybe
if he got her back to work, she was able to talk the manager into having him back.
Yeah, that's why I think it's a mind. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal. But I was like, oh, okay. Oh, they're like having a meal there. I thought he was banned. And so.
Okay, you're right.
Just a small thing. Would you change anything about this movie?
I don't think so.
A little less racist jokes? Just kidding.
I really wanted to meet Simon's parents. I know it didn't matter. Yeah. It didn't matter. But
I think that could have been a powerful scene of like
I know.
All three of them kind of like in the house.
It's like you went all the way there and you're not going to even meet them? You're not even see them?
Yeah. You didn't need them anymore.
I know. And that was the point.
Yeah.
I don't need them anymore. This trip, there was a different purpose of this trip, and that was accomplished, and that's great. Yeah. But at the same time, I was like, this family, these two parents who won't even pick up the phone. Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to see them. Who are they?
As a parent, could you imagine?
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
You think this movie is underrated, perfectly rated, or overrated? And, I've asked that question, and people are like, I don't know the ratings of this movie, but generally I'm just talking about in the public eye. How do people generally talk about this
I don't think
movie?
anyone knows or remembers it. I don't. I think it's too old.
Well, people don't forget Good Will Hunting, and it was made at the same time. Just want to put that out there.
Yeah. And did not win Best Actor or Best Actress.
Thanks for the reminder.
It won Best Screenplay.
Well, in case you haven't looked up the ratings, it is a 7.7.
Oh, out of 10?
On IMDb.
Based on what? Based on box office sales or?
This is just.
Like Rotten Tomatoes? What are we talking about?
This is IMDb. Rotten Tomatoes gave it an 86.
Okay.
I don't know.
Average. I would give it a 96.
Wow.
I would.
That's fair. I'm trying to see if they give any kind of. I can look into that later, but yeah. What I'm trying to see. What are your thoughts? What are your notes? What'd you bring? Any other things over there?
Let's see. There was one quote that cracked me up when he's going to ask his publisher for that big favor.
Which they didn't tell you the favor.
Which was to get her husband doctor to take care of Spencer.
Yeah, but I was confused because it dropped you into the scene,
right?
And I'm like, who is this woman,
right?
And who is this woman like staring so intently at him, like she's in love with him,
right?
And then we eventually find out that I don't think they even tell you like who the publisher is, but the woman is like, I'm a fan of your work and like all these things. And
yes.
He's a jerk, and then he stands too close to the guy in the elevator and he scoots over.
Right.
But in the next scene, we see this doctor, and then we kind of
and he says, my wife is Melvin Udall's publisher.
Yeah.
And she's asked me to do this thing for him, which you're supposed to connect all those dots.
Yeah.
But back to the girl who was like just a fan of his work.
Yeah.
Right. She knows he's like a guy who does not want to talk. He does not. And she's like, she kind of just doesn't care at this point, and tells him, how do you write women so well? And his answer is, I think of a man and I take away reason and accountability. And I laugh at that. And I was like, is that really what men think? Like, and maybe that's why he's so good at writing. He doesn't even know women. He's never around them.
No.
He's writing them, and it's speaking to a woman's heart. Like, she's just feeling so seen and understood. Isn't that funny?
It was. I mean, I thought so. Is that how women are? Did you?
But you can tell he looks down on women. Like he doesn't have a high opinion of them.
No. Yeah. Do you think it's weird? For Carol in particular, you mentioned how she has these boundaries.
Yeah.
But then he kind of uses his power, his influence, his money to get her these things, more specifically, like the care for her son. Do you think that's kind of a manipulation? Do you think it's...
She thought it was.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Really?
At every turn, it was not about that for him. He was doing something. It's very easy for him, actually. It didn't cost him anything. Yeah. He literally all had to just make a phone call. It cost him. He had to go and ask and do hard things for him. Yeah. But it didn't cost him anything, and he was going to pay it. He's rich. He's loaded. Yeah. It's not like it hurt him. It was all about him. That extraordinary gift was honestly a selfish act. He wanted his waitress there. Yeah. That's all that mattered to him. It was his routine, and he needed it to be okay.
He was willing to do whatever.
Yeah, the fact that it actually changed her life, he was like, oh, I don't even think he had considered that as a possibility.
Yeah.
And then when she showed up at his door, I think his mind was like, oh. Yeah. And whenever she saw it this way, that he was doing it to hook up with her.
Yeah.
And she says that is absolutely not a possibility on this planet. I think it did wake him up to realize, oh, wait. And see her differently. Yeah. I think he did start to fall in love with her right then.
Yeah. Cool. So we kind of already hinted at it, but just to kind of come back to it one last time, what do you think is the kind of underlining, the meaning, the message behind this movie towards the audience? Don't be a jerk.
No, I think it's to not judge people.
Yeah.
Do you remember in the car when he's trying to tell her his story and she goes, let me pull over and give you my undivided attention?
I thought that was really interesting.
I was like, and Melvin's sitting in the back seat going, what are you doing? And he keeps interrupting and telling
so what? We all have stories. Yeah.
You call that hard? And he's talking about she's modeling for him in front of him how to be a better person, how to understand somebody, how to care, how to have compassion. Yeah. It's so foreign to him. He just doesn't understand it. I think, to me, it's helping us be better people. Yeah. I don't think often of my waiter when I'm at a restaurant. I don't think of their story, what's going on in their lives. Yeah. Things like that, people we see every day. I probably might have the ability to radically change someone's life. Yeah. I don't even think of it. I don't know. I think those are the things that teach me about that movie.
Yeah. I think I would ditto that. And... taking the time to see someone and not see them as a hindrance, but a person. It's as simple as that. And I thought Carol was the best at that, primarily just because of how she is, like you said, she's a caregiver. Yeah. And so she's constantly caring for other people. And so I think honestly the movie might have been maybe ahead of its time.
I think it was pushing the boundaries.
Yeah.
At it,
Yeah. Just there's more than meets the eye, and a lot of people, and
to be kind.
Yeah, to be kind, and I even think of like, I think about our office.
Sure.
And like there are like 50 some people there, and it can be easy to just see someone and label them as a certain way.
Or write them off and be like, that's just how they are.
Yeah.
And not really understand it.
Yeah. And there's so much going on behind the scenes that you have no idea. Yeah. You have, but if you stopped and you pulled over and you listened, and it's like, okay, like I get it. So also shout out to all the guys out there who are working to become better men, like our boy Melvin. Well, sweet. Last thing, and then closing thoughts. If you could write a letter to the director, whether that's what would you want to communicate? You can kind of take that however you want.
A letter to the director.
Yeah. What would you say?
I think it was well done. I think he did. It was necessary at the time. I think it was important. Yeah. And sorry, you came out the same time as Titanic. I mean, who's gonna beat Titanic? Yeah. I saw it 3 times in the theater. I couldn't. But well done.
I guess painting nude was a theme back then, and
was it?
Because I was in Titanic as well.
Oh yeah. I didn't get that. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. That's all. James Brooks. Do you know anything about him as a director?
No. Don't.
I feel like he does comedies, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wonder what else he's directed. Yeah. We need to look that up.
Yeah. Closing thoughts. Anything else you just want to get off your chest about?
Are you mad about watching it now?
No.
Okay.
Why would I be mad about watching it?
You kind of gave me attitude about it, and I was like...
On the front end?
Yeah, you made me worry that I chose the wrong one. No. And I had to stick to my guns and be like, no, I love this movie. So if you don't love it...
I'm the one who told you that we should do this one.
Okay, I know, but you weren't sure about it.
No, I'm glad I watched it.
Okay, that's all I wondered.
I think I would watch it again.
Okay.
I think it's, like I said, it's not your typical rom-com.
No.
And I honestly don't even want to put in that category.
Right.
But that's just kind of where it falls. It's not, I mean, it's funny, but it's not. It's
serious. It's serious topics.
I would honestly put it in the same sphere as Good Will Hunting.
Okay.
Of like...
Yeah, because I didn't think that movie was funny either. It has funny moments.
I think it's hilarious.
See? And that's what's strange, right?
You have like a character who is fighting.
And that's about trauma.
Demons. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. With some humor.
Yeah. And you try to watch them grow out of it and to grow into who they want to be.
And that's how they're similar, right?
Yeah.
Does he have hope at the end?
Will Hunting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you not seen it?
Many times.
Just saying.
I'm just asking you. In that way, these movies are very similar.
Yeah. And I love how both those movies end, because in Good Will Hunting, he's taking a chance. He's driving to California.
He did a hard thing.
He's going to go see about a girl. Mm-hmm. And in this movie, it ends with like, hey, they're going to try this. And he steps on the crack, and it's just like, we don't know. And I'm thankful that there's not a sequel, because like we don't know how it turns out. Stop. Of like,
no sequels.
If they work out, if Will and Skylar work out, but we get to hope, like, hey. Yeah. And I think it's more than about like, is it going to work with Skylar? Is it going to work with Carol? It's more just about, here's who I was at the beginning. Here's who I am now. And that's the story. And that's what makes character-centric movies so powerful. And I think those are harder to make and harder to write, because, plots, I think Christopher Nolan does plots really well. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, like, doing a character really well, like Oppenheimer, in my opinion, is probably his best work, because it's like, we got to go inside a person's kind of soul in a way and just see their transformation. And so I don't think that's easy at all.
I think the success of those relationships, though, those two that you mentioned, are going to be contingent on them continuing to grow.
Yeah.
Because even if Will Hunting moves out there and continues to be the guy that he always was, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
They have to continue the growth.
Yeah.
This guy, as good as it gets, he has to continue taking the pills.
Yeah.
He has to continue doing hard things. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Yeah. So what areas do you want to grow in? Last question.
Hey, I'm constantly growing, constantly improving.
Yeah.
I think it's huge. I've been married almost 21 years.
Yeah.
You think you know a person, but we change constantly. We're always growing and changing, and you have to continue. It's a commitment to learning this new person.
Yeah.
Over and over and over, and them too.
Yeah.
And if you stop, that's when the growth. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So there's been 4 or 5 versions of me the past 20 years.
Yeah.
Same with my husband. So you have to grow. Yeah. I'm not going to give you specifics. This is a movie podcast, okay?
Hey.
But I'm growing.
Good.
In all the ways.
Good. Well, sweet. Thank you guys for tuning in. And we hope that you see that this is not as good as it gets. And shout out Jack Nicholson. And thank you, Krystal, for coming on. And we'll see you guys next time.